Hey, guys, Altavis Pelzer here, your voice manager, and I unmute the voice of women who are ready to speak up about what has kept her silent for way too long. Super excited to bring you another episode of the Speak Easy podcast, where we talk about what it means to be the successfully paid speaker and author. That part. But I'm excited. I know you saw the title, right? By grace, not perfection, which is really interesting when we think about the industry that we're in, right? The speaking and author industries. Man, you got to give yourself a lot of grace. You got to give other people a lot of grace in this industry. If not, you can find yourself with a whole bunch of extra gray hairs, right? A few stressed out moments, maybe a bald patch or two. But I love being able to talk to people who come through different um, pieces of the journey, because it definitely allows us to elaborate on, what does really success really look like. You know, there's no way ever that you will gain access to success if you are holding fast to perfectionism. You can't. There's no way for you to grab a hold of the goals and dreams that you're trying to achieve, because perfectionism will always be your Achilles heel. It will always be your thorn in the side. And I always say this to you guys, my imperfect launch will always beat out your perfect non-launch. So we have to understand that. But that makes me even more excited about our guest for today. And y'all, just listening to today's episode, let me know how this episode resonates with you. Leave us a review over on Podchaser or on Apple Podcasts. We would love to be able to hear from you and join the conversation. So with that being said, hello to my...
Hi, I'm so excited to be on the show today. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I'm excited too. I guess because I overcame a lot of that perfectionism and trying to, that first, I tell people my first book, it took me 8 years, because I was like, oh, I gotta have this amount of words, and you gotta sound like this, and then when you let go of that, man, opportunities just open up. But before we even dig into today's topic, let everyone know who you are, and then we'll go into the conversation.
Okay, great. My name is Kayleon Dortch-Elliott. I am a wife, a mom. My daughter just turned 1 year old. Yeah. I am an author. I am a speaker, a business owner. I'm the owner of By Grace Not Perfection, LLC. And it is a platform that I use to motivate and encourage others. And I do some consulting and graphic design with that as well.
So let's start here. When it comes to By Grace Not Perfection, what was the area of perfection that you were holding on to the most? I know
everything.
Yeah. She said all of it.
All of it.
I was trying to make it all perfect.
Yeah. My business actually was originally an extension of a blog that I had since about middle school. And the name was By Grace Not Perfection. And just all across the board, but mostly just with my identity. And I'm a PK, which is a preacher's kid. So you have that that expectation for everything to be perfect. And that was really the basis of the blog that I had started. And I was really just starting a journey of acknowledging that God gives us grace, but then also giving myself grace and actually receiving it. Like, the grace is available, but if it's not applied, then that's where we mess up. And so just all across the board, whether it was with school, I think all my grades have to be perfect. And every single piece of feedback that someone gives me, I take it personal. And I, have to figure out a way to fix myself, because obviously I'm broken or I'm doing something wrong. And so, just all across the board, school, just normal identity, I need to live up to everyone's standards. And that can get complicated because everybody has different standards. So it wasn't necessarily a particular area. Just all across the board, I struggled with perfectionism, and just in terms of identity and how others perceive me. And yeah.
So you hit on a nerve with the identity piece.
Yep.
Because I know that a lot of times coming into, and let's just be honest, coming into any industry, there's very few that come in with the strong personal identity. They come in saying, well, let me do what they said worked.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and especially because you have coaches and you have people that are mentors and that help you, and you want to take their advice and you want to take what they're saying into consideration, but you also want to stay true to yourself. And it's important to find yourself, learn about yourself. That way people can give you advice and insight based off of who you already are instead of trying to formulate who you are, if that makes sense. Which is so difficult when you're in the writing and the speaking industry, not to allow others to create who you are, but actually coming into it. Like, I may not know the fullness of who I am right now, but come with what you have. And it's not expected for you to have everything figured out as soon as you come into the industry. It may take you 8 years. It may take you, a longer time than you expected to find yourself, to learn your rhythm, your pattern, your voice, how you speak, how you communicate to others, and what's really the message on your heart. It may take a while for you to find that. So never feel the pressure, because that's what it is. A lot of the times it's the pressure, especially in this industry, to go ahead and already know who you are. And sometimes that's just not the case. And it takes you putting your story out there. It takes you getting feedback. It takes you getting yeses and getting nos for you to figure out, okay, this is what works for me. This is who I am. And this is what I have to present to the world. It may not look like what someone else has, but this is what I have. And someone else could be saying the exact same thing that I'm saying, but it's different because I'm saying
it. That part right there. I know for me, coming into the industry, there was a lot of backlash because as the introvert, I don't do what everybody else does.
I feel you.
So, everybody else was going out to clubs and stuff after the event. And I was like,
no,
I see y'all in the morning. And they were drinking and I was like, hand me a bottle of water. Yep. And, it was, you always get the glances, you always get the side eyes. Oh, well, it's just one drink. Oh, it's just this, it's just that. And so it's a battle because you really do have to have a firm foundation of what are my values. And that's not something that's talked about in our industry. When you come in, it's not, you should have a handle on your values when you get in here. Because if not, you thought the world outside of this industry was trying to shake you up.
Exactly.
Oh, the enemy all in the industry trying to shake you up. Absolutely. And man, it doesn't feel good because I've even found it that, especially now, and this hurt my heart to the core. I think it was last week, I saw somebody posted a link where you could buy for $50. You could buy being a prophet. And I said, well,
I feel like I have heard about that, but I really haven't talked to anyone that actually has seen it.
I thought I was going crazy for a second because I was like, that's not, wait a
minute.
Like
in terms of the title?
Yeah, like you buy these like classes for $50 for you to become a bishop and a prophet, and I was just like looking at the speaking industry and the author, and you see so many people that have these titles, and so now it becomes even harder because if you don't have that value system, immediately you're like, oh, but they said they are.
Yeah, and it allows other people to be skeptical as well, because if they know that this is a reality for some people, then it's like, well, are you credible? Are you, can I trust what you're saying, especially if you're talking about, Christian related things.
that definitely like threw me, because I was like, yeah, so I had to
That's not
stand
what
on
I'm
my
expecting
values.
for you to say.
Right? Like people do, and if you don't talk about it, this is the thing, people think there's like opposite ends of the spectrum. They think everybody's like that, or they're like, no, that doesn't really happen. No, it's really happening, but no, everyone is not like that. There are really those who are in the Word of God, who are sharing from the Word of God, and so they can give you biblical principles when it comes to speaking, biblical principles when it comes to business. They can give you that, but it's not everybody.
It's not. And you don't need to be ashamed of it. And that's something that I have learned over the past year, especially because I founded my business officially last January. And that was one thing that the Lord was really dealing with me about. Was I felt like I had to kind of not downplay, but not come across as too churchy or too preachy or too, you get what I'm saying? And that was something that he had to deal with me about, because it seemed like it was coming out in everything. Like someone is going to pick up on it, or it was just coming out in anything, like writing. And I had to feel comfortable with, this is my message. And if I ever feel like I have to like go outside of my foundation and what I have based this business off of, no, I don't have to quote scripture all day. But if I know that the foundation of this is God, and I am a Christian, so I'm accountable for spreading the gospel, I can't, that's just going against everything I say I believe. If I feel like for 1 second with my writing or my business that I have to kind of tuck Jesus away so that I can be relevant, then that's when I have made a mistake. And that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned this past year, is that goes against everything you're saying if you think that you have to put him away in order to reach people and for people to receive your message. And yeah.
Well, I definitely agree with you there, because that was one of those things that I had to be able to say, well, I can't put him on the back burner. If and even to the point where I had to stand firmly on it and say, if I put him on the back burner, then he has the right to put me on the back burner. He's not going to do it. He has the right to put me on the back burner.
Grace.
Thank you. Grace.
Yeah, and I think it's good to, I mean, of course, like I said, you don't have to be quoting scripture all day, and how to adjust, with certain events or things, how to apply yourself, and you may not mention his name at all. And I also learned that even if I'm not saying it, people will be able to tell just by my countenance, by how I carry myself. So it's not even necessarily limited to my words. What I think is spreading the gospel. I'm a living testament. So just my presence here will speak to him. And of course, you could be in secular settings and not mention him at all. Like, of course, you don't force, anything. And it's good to have that adaptability. But then also be mindful of the events that you're speaking at, the appointments that you're taking. Be mindful of that. And if you are only comfortable with one thing, it's good to stretch yourself, but it's also good to know what just doesn't work for you.
To thine own self be true. Listen, do not try to fit the square peg into the round hole. It does not work. That's not what it's meant for.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely have to agree with you there. And I think that's where a lot of the perfectionism comes from too, is
absolutely,
I want to fit into this group. I want to be able to seem like I'm rolling with this group.
Yeah.
And then when you get behind the scenes, it's completely different. So now, have you ever had to turn someone down because it did not align up, and you said, you know what, this is me trying to present myself in a certain way or a certain light, and I gotta go left, I gotta go ahead and do this detour?
I feel like there was one instance, but it was years ago. Most of the time, it's been things that I have either sought out, like opportunities. So I haven't really had too many. But I think there was one a few years ago um, that I was asked to speak at, and just the values were not. I knew that when I was there, and I can adapt very easily. But I felt like, okay, I'm not gonna be able to to adapt with this one. Like, so I did have to turn one down because I knew I wasn't gonna feel comfortable, and whether I wanted to show or not, it will. And I didn't want to give anything less than my best. And I figured there would probably be someone that would fit that particular event better. So I just, stepped back, and of course, and be cordial. That's the thing. Be nice, and definitely thank them for even considering you or inviting you. And I mean, if you're comfortable for future things, let them know. Of course, be nice about that. But I had to turn that one down.
Yeah, I think it's kind of hard. That's when you really have to rely fully on, okay, what am I really here for? Like, what am I really doing? Because there's and Speakeasy podcast listeners, I know many of you probably have experienced this in many different areas of your life. There's a level of anxiety and fear when you feel like you need to say no,
Mm-hmm.
that just kind of, it brings you back to almost like a childhood moment of wanting to be accepted on the playground.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that is such a good comparison. Everybody wants that acceptance, and you don't want to feel like you have let someone down, or maybe it was me, maybe I could have adjusted, but you have to stay true to yourself. And there's also a level of integrity that you have to maintain. And especially in this industry, it's beyond gigs, and it's beyond, and I think sometimes we're so quick to just take the next gig, because we want the money. And if this is your primary source of income, rightfully so, but then at the same time, never sacrifice your values, or your integrity, just for a gig. Because your speaking and your writing, that's your brand. And you yourself, like, you are a walking brand. And you have to be mindful of that. And I knew, if I go to this particular event and speak, it won't look good, it won't represent what I have presented about my brand so far. And I want to stay true to that. And so that's just something to keep in mind.
Okay, you just dropped the mic with that one, because
Oh, did I?
that one was you are a walking brand. And
Yeah.
coming in, it's, we think, what's the first things we start to think about Speakeasy Podcast? Y'all know the routine. It's the logo, it's the colors, it's the website. I paid $700 for a website and had nothing to sell on the website. But
Yeah.
but I had the website though.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
it's crazy, because even now I talk to some who are doing really well in the industry, and there's a good number of them who still don't have a website.
Yeah, because it's not, those things are helpful, but it goes beyond that. For people, it's how you treat them, what they like see about you, and that's the ultimate branding. And I like to incorporate that when I do my consulting and design. Yeah, we do the website, we do the logo, we do the graphics, we do all of these things, but we also take a holistic approach. Okay, how are you? Because you are the one that's going to be executing this. We can have a great website, awesome logo, and you're not okay, then we need to go back to the drawing board, because that's what people are going to see. And so I make it my mission to deal with the person beyond the website, beyond the logo. What are your values? What is important to you? And how are you doing? How do you feel about managing this? How do you feel about what you are putting out there? Because they can come to you for the website, they can come for you for this, And then a lot of times you're just left on your own. Okay, I did your website, did your logo, best wishes. And that's usually the end, but because I know that's what I need, and that's what I would want. And so I desire to give that to other people. So we don't just leave you at the website and the logo. We follow up. Okay, how is this doing? How are you feeling? Because you launch everything, and then probably that week later it's like it's reality sets in, and that's when you need someone to be there the most. And so I definitely think that's important to take into account, that you are a walking brand. So beyond, does this logo, does this website represent you? And are you trying to present something that is not authentic to who you are and your personal brand? Because you can put out there, I offer this, and these are my values, and they really might not be your values. You're just doing what you think other people want to see or they want to read. And then there becomes that disconnect because you don't know how to keep up with the brand that you've presented because it's not authentic to you.
That lines up with us moving away from that perfectionism. Because
Absolutely.
sometimes we need someone who can see, y'all better catch this, listeners. We need somebody who can see from a different vantage point than what we're looking at things.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because the reality check, I don't like graphics. I know we all got Canva, guys. I know Canva is our friend some days. You can do something real quick. I know that's cute. But I learned my lesson maybe about 4 years ago. And everybody was at the time talking about landing pages. And they were like, yeah, you can do it. It's real easy. Just do a landing page and just go ahead, just throw it together. You good. It took me 3 days to do the landing page. Okay. And I never even used it.
Oh.
And I was like, because I was working with something, I was working with it from my vantage point and from my viewpoint. But if we put it into the hands of someone who that is their area of expertise.
Absolutely.
No, it's not going to take them. It may, depending on what you're asking for. Because some of y'all, you don't even know what you're asking for.
I've had some clients.
You don't even know what you're asking for. Grace. That's going to be the magic word of the day. Grace. Okay.
Yeah.
But you don't even know what you're asking for. And, you're attempting to put something together, but that's not where that's not where your vantage point lies.
Exactly. And it's not fulfilling like a purpose. Mm-hmm. And that's another thing that I do with my clients, whether it's a logo, whether it's a website, whatever it is, podcast, maybe people are starting a podcast. I ask you can base it off of the values, and that'll be an indication of if what you're doing is actually fulfilling a purpose. And if not, then we're going to get to, why are you doing this? Because a lot of times your purposes will align with what you're doing. And maybe it's not just because you like the podcast, but maybe because you like to reach people. Maybe community is something that's important for you. So it's beyond a podcast. Your focus might not even be on the podcast management and distribution and analytics and all of these things. It might just be, I want to connect with people. That's important to know, because then your strengths, your weaknesses. Okay, I can record the content, I can get the guests, but I need someone to actually upload it. I need someone to actually manage it. And how to delegate, because now your values, your strong points, and areas where you need help from somebody else.
And that's valuable too. Listeners, I can tell you from experience, I've seen many people start a podcast. Mm-hmm. And I've seen them go through programs that were $5,000 and $10,000 for them to learn how to start a podcast. Mm-hmm. And after their first year, they weren't there anymore.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because I had people come to me and get training on starting a podcast, and they were just like, oh my goodness, this training was so good. And they were like, the responses were, oh my goodness, I'm having fun doing this.
Exactly.
I'm loving this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's how you should feel. When it
Exactly.
feels like a job, it's a job.
Exactly. You're going to be thinking about quitting all the time. You're not going to put your best effort into it. But it has to be something that you enjoy, and it has to, again, there has to be a purpose. Something that you are passionate about, something that you value, because then when those days where you just don't feel like it, you're still going to do it. And I know that from experience. There are days I'm like, I don't want to record today. I just want to watch TV. I don't feel like it. And then I like come out of the room. I'm like, that was just amazing. And it happens every time.
Exactly.
But it's like, it's going to be that value that is going to drive you to still do it when you don't feel like it, because it's something that is important to you. And that's what matters at the end of the day. And it's not a quick fix solution or some magical thing. The effort that you put into it, if you don't record, there will be no podcast. You get what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
So it has to be something, you are the one recording the podcast, and just using that as an example. So it's going to be based off of what you value and how motivated you are to do it. And that will determine the longevity of the podcast.
Come on, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Speak easy. Y'all know we've been going 3 years strong. Let's go. So the wheels fall off.
Yeah.
So in the next question
Mm-hmm.
is one that I ask every person that comes onto the show is, have you had any blunders in this journey? Any times that you can look back and say, okay, that wasn't the best choice, best course of action?
I feel like I've had a lot of those moments, but it shouldn't have been those moments because I'm just overly self-critical. Gosh. Because I'm trying to think of like a legitimate one that I just wasn't being dramatic. That maybe that wasn't a good idea. Okay, I'll say when I was writing my first book, which is a 30-day devotional, I was presented with this publishing company that was charging like a whole body, not even an arm and a leg, a whole body, to publish the book. And I'm thinking, okay, well, if I want it to be quality, I should actually do this. So I like kind of started with the process. I hadn't paid anything, but I applied and I, started the process just to kind of see what all was going to be entailed. And it didn't end up working out because I realized that they were really overcharging, which a lot of publishing companies do. They were overcharging, and that's, a light bulb kind of came on. Like, you can have quality stuff, but this is just asking a bit too much, especially for what was being offered. So for me, that was one experience where I'm like, that wasn't a good idea. So I had to like take another route with publishing my book. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about talking to upcoming authors and creators and speakers, because when you're not used to the industry, you just can fall for anything. And like you said, you know people that have paid thousands of dollars to learn how to start a podcast. You get what I'm saying? Like, but if you think that's the only thing that's offered, then you just will go with it, especially if you want something of quality. And so I had to go a different route with my book. So that's one of the most recent things I can think of.
Having that moment to pivot, I think that's important.
Yes.
That's if y'all don't learn nothing else in this here good journey, learning to pivot will save you time, money, and energy.
Absolutely.
Learning how to let go and be able to pivot has been everything. So I could definitely have to agree with you there, and Speak Easy listeners, y'all know we've talked about some of the stuff you have to watch out for publishing your own book on your own, as well as dealing with a publishing company.
Yeah.
What are some of the questions that you're asking? And I think that was a major one for me, was not asking questions in the beginning. For one, because I didn't know what questions to ask.
Okay.
And then the other piece of it was kind of thinking, well, they're a publishing company, so they got this.
Yeah, exactly.
They got this, y'all. They pros, right?
No.
You find out later on, like, that wasn't, no, I don't know what, that came out the Cracker Jack box. Okay. All right, well.
Surprise. Exactly.
Oh my goodness, I'm loving this conversation.
So am I.
Let them know how they can find you online and how they can get in contact with you if they are looking to work with you. Because I'm sure some of them are going to listen and say, okay, what was her name? Was this? And I need to find her ASAP.
Yep, I'm ready for you. Okay, you can find me on, well, first of all, my website. That's the one-stop shop for basically everything. And it is By Grace NP, and the NP stands for not perfection, bygracenp.com. And I also have a mobile app, which is available on the App Store and Google Play Store. And it's By Grace Not Perfection LLC. It's free, and it's basically like a mobile website. So all of my podcasts, everything you can access through there. So my website, the mobile app, I am on Facebook and Instagram at BGNPLLC. So you can find me up there. I have my personal page as well. But those are the ways that you can connect with me. And if you would like to work with me, again, go to bygracenp.com. And it will direct you to book a free consultation. I have a lot of services offered, and I answer my own emails and everything. So you'll actually be talking to a person. But yes, I'm willing to work with you if you need any consulting and design services. And for podcasters, I do have an opportunity for you to stream your podcast through my app. I have 2 podcasts that I host, and they are streamed through my mobile app. And so I just made that available probably about a month ago for podcasters who would like to stream their podcast in the app. And yeah, I'm not really using my online store as much anymore, but I do have my 30-day devotional called One Day at a Time, Remaining in Step, and I have a 45-day keepsake journal for NICU moms, and I have 2 planners available as well on my website if you want to check those out. So.
Ooh, she was just giving y'all fire right there. I said, wait, streaming through the app. Wait a minute. Mental note. Hold on.
Yes.
Because what you'll find, and this is for every industry, what you'll find is one of your most valuable things that you can do is market.
Absolutely.
Market, collaboration, networking, that's valuable. So when you find, did you just hear what she said? That you can stream your podcast through her app.
Yes.
Y'all better jump on it. So I'm just going to let you know, because I'm about to tell 19 of my podcast friends. So.
Oh, amazing.
Look,
amazing.
I'm about to go tell a few folk, because I'm really big on networking and collaboration, and that's how we all grow.
Absolutely. And that's my main goal, is for all of us to grow together. That's the biggest thing, and to make opportunities available. If you have a platform, like, I don't want to just use this for me, I might as well reach out, to that opportunity available.
I love it. Oh my goodness. Speak Easy podcast listeners, let us know how this particular episode resonated with you. Come join the conversation over in the free group, bit.ly/. speakeasy, nope, wrong, bit.ly/World Voice Community. It is a free Facebook group for you to join the conversation. You can leave a review by going to bit.ly/Speakeasy Podcast Show. Y'all, listen, I got excited about that. Y'all just don't know about the about to send out like 20 messages.
Oh,
I absolutely love it. So guys, guess what? Every single time that you tune in, we appreciate it. You guys know that we said we're going to be sharing some of y'all reviews coming shortly. So I'm excited that you guys have been loving the shows and the episodes and series that we've been sharing with you guys. Because guess what? Without the Speakeasy Podcast listeners, there is no Speakeasy Podcast. So thank you for 3 years, almost 4 years, guys, of rocking and rolling with me. And man, make sure you connect. Until next time, guys, don't forget to press it out. See ya.